All right, guys. Hey, good evening. I'm Noah. If you don't know me, I am one of the regional vice presidents. If we've never met, I am the regional vice president for the Atlas Base Shop as part of Redline. So securities background, fully licensed, just passed my 26th this weekend. So that makes me a limited principal. It'll allow a 26th license allows you to, promote RVPs and also get securities overrides. So pretty cool. If you've never seen this presentation before, this is not the complete presentation. I took a bunch of stuff out of it, but when we say we teach clients how money works, like that's true, right? We made a little book. It's really small. It's like 40 pages. And guess what, guys? It's simple, mostly pictures. And it's what I tell clients all the time. Look, we don't teach this stuff in schools anymore. So really the goal is to kind of teach that stuff for you guys, right? So kind of some of the big things, just really simple is taking control and just getting back in control of your money. Because, and I ask clients this all the time, you got to pay yourself first. Like Danielle, I can see you on the screen, Miss Newt, right? Do you get a bill every month that says pay Danielle $500? Probably not, right? But if you got one, Danielle, would you pay it? Probably, because you're a responsible person and you pay your bills. Am I right? Yeah, of course. So why aren't you sending yourself that bill? Guys, that's a powerful question, and people kind of just stop in their tracks when you ask that question. They're not sending themselves that bill because they've never prioritized it. And they've just sort of like grown into their paycheck and grown into their lifestyle, right? And so we got to help clients sort of just reevaluate. Like, look, do you want to continue down this path that you're on right now and try to save an extra 5 or 10 grand a year? Or probably a little easier to make an extra 5 or 10 grand a year right now than it would be to save it. Guys, that's what we do for people. It's like step one in the mission statement, help families earn more income, right? And so that's a great segue into recruiting across the kitchen table. When you show someone a downfall in their finances, right? And a pitfall in their financial independence number, that's an easy way to kind of show that to somebody, right? So we got to get people making extra money. Avoiding the credit trap is huge, guys. Most people grow up and they just swipe credit cards. They don't understand the difference between fixed debt and revolving debt and how bad a 18 to 25% interest rate on a revolving credit card will just kill you. I mean, eat your lunch. It's awful.
$100? No.
And
Do
then
you
the
forget a
last point
bill
there
that
is you
says
don't need new products, guys. You just need a strategy. And most people literally just need a way to figure out how they're going to save. All right. Let's see, why won't that advance? So again, basics. The 3 Ds of investing, dollar cost averaging, we'll go over that. It's basically picking a plan either once a month, twice a month, once a week, whatever you're comfortable with in terms of how you want to invest, or even based on how you get paid. Put that money into your mutual funds, put that money into your savings account, into your money market, right? Just putting that money away on a regular basis. Again, a strategy, a plan, discipline, just doing it, right? Guys, a lot of times becoming very wealthy is actually very boring because you're just doing a lot of the same things over and over and over. And that's not to say that you can't ever have fun or anything. I'm not talking about that kind of boring. I'm just saying like the monotonous and repetitive every month, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, you're just investing. And then diversification is just meaning that you're not putting all of your money into one stock, right? I get it. Everyone has iPhones. I use a Mac. I love the products. That doesn't mean I own nothing but Apple stock. Now, if you did that over the last 20 years, you'd be doing okay, right? But if instead of Apple in early 2000, you had picked, I don't know, maybe Enron, would you be okay today? Probably not. And if you don't know who Enron is, you're probably too young, but it was a huge company. They crashed if you didn't get that picture, right? So guys, just being diversified, just being in different sectors of the market. And those 3 basic principles, those 3 Ds, if you can kind of figure those out, you're going to be okay. These are some things that you can and can't control, right? We have no idea down the road if Social Security is going to be around. You can't control your boss. They could come to you, on Monday tomorrow and say, you either don't have a job or you have a 30% pay cut. Which do you want? Most people are going to say, well, I don't have another option, so I guess I'll just take the pay cut for now, right? We have no idea what taxes are going to be. People tell me all the time, like, well, I'd rather focus on my 401k than focus on the Roth because it lowers my taxable income. So it's true, it does. But when you pay yourself in the future with that, when you decide to retire, do you know for certain what your tax rate is going to be? And they say no, but they say, well, it'll be lower because I'm going to be old and I won't be making as much money, so I'll pay less in taxes. Maybe. But you don't know that. But what I can tell you is that a Roth IRA is tax-free when you pay yourself with it now, and it will remain tax-free into the future. That's the only thing that I can tell you, right? Inflation, who feels like they have as much money in their bank account or in their pocket right now every month as they did 3 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago? Because I certainly don't, right? There's way too much month at the end of the money now. And that's inflation, guys, right? Inflation is just the decreasing purchasing power, right? The thing that today cost you $7, 4 years ago cost you about $3. You're buying the same thing, but it takes almost twice the amount of money or more, depending on what you're buying. All right. I went to the store earlier today before dinner. A bag of chips was like $5. What? That's insanity. A few years ago, it was like $2. It was like printed on the bag. It was $2.99. And I even thought then that was crazy. Right? So that's inflation. That's decreasing purchasing power. Think about if that happened in 4 years, think about 30 years from now. Right? So when we do a financial independence number for people in a mobile FNA, and you say, hey, that's $7,000 if you retired right now, 30 years from now, that 7,000 is more like 19, and they can't even fathom it. And that's just at a 3% consistent inflation, guys. And that's what the government's targeting, right? Somewhere between 2 and 3% inflation is what GDP is needing for growth. That gross domestic product, we want that growing. It brings inflation, all right? So there's some simple things you straight up can't control, but things that you can control, you're saving, figuring out other sources of income. Everybody wants a side hustle. Guys, we live in an era of a gig economy, right? Do you think someone would rather go putz around their car in Uber at $4 a gallon in gas, or figure out how to get a professional license and stay home and not have to drive around and make an extra few $100 or a few thousand, depending on how good they are and how much they're willing to commit? I don't know. Personally, I'm going to take the one that's higher, but that's just me, right? We can figure out ways to reduce taxes. We are not tax professionals. I don't want you guys going down that road, but we do have to understand some tax basics. But please do not get like wrapped around the axle trying to help your clients with, tax preparation and stuff like that. That is not your job. All right. Teach them how to save more. Teach them how to follow a plan, right? Get them the right amount of life insurance. That's your job. I really wish that would work. It's not working. But back to paying ourselves first, right? These are the 3 kind of accounts that you need. And I don't care who you are. These are the 3 kind of accounts that you need. Let me turn on, like Andy said, turn on a little glow stick, right? So guys, this one is your emergency fund, right? This is, you choose. I don't care. You can have a checking account and a savings account. You can just say, 1,000 in my checking account is 0. I won't ever go below that unless I'm dipping into it for a certain reason. But that's your emergency fund. Why do we say $1,000? Well, that's because most things that you would like need on a quick basis, they're not really going to go over that. And if you can spend it, put it back, get your emergency fund reestablished, you're good to go. The next thing that you need is some sort of short-term savings account, right? That's a short-term plan. We're talking 6 months to a couple of years. This is, I'm going to pay for a vacation. I'm going to, I got to put new tires on the car or whatever. We're talking several $1,000s, maybe a down payment for a house, right? Things that you're saving for, but we're also going to put that somewhere that's going to get you a higher rate of return. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's your money market account, right? Everyone on this call right now is also an agent. And so that's also where we put your money accumulation program. I don't have a slide for that, but we'll talk about it. Last one is your long-term savings, guys. This is your your Roth, your 401k, your traditional IRA, if you're a teacher, 403b, 457, any of the qualified retirement plans. Or if you're exceeding those income levels and you're just putting money into mutual funds, great, right? You're still investing for the long term because having your money in the market is where you're going to get the best rate of returns. Now, this is fun. Watch this. This is what I do with clients all the time, right? Who has a checking account and a savings account? You can put it in the Zoom chat, right? Since you guys are going to put it in the Zoom chat, I should probably bring it up. But think about it. Everybody probably has a savings account, right? When was the last time you guys went and looked at your savings account? Like just pull up a statement and looked at your rate of return, right? Or you looked at your interest payment for the month. Can somebody tell me what their last interest payment was for the month on their either checking or savings account? Assuming you just have like a regular one. Does anybody know? 33 cents, 5 cents, 25 cents, nothing, 8 cents. Zoom user says 99 cents. That's not good, right? So that was your actual like money deposited back in the account. Well, right, I can tell you my last one from my Chase banking checking account. It was like a penny. A penny. What good is that? What good does that do me? Right. And so I actually Googled it right before we got on. The national average annual percentage for a savings account is 0.45% annually. So that's less than half of 1% annually that they're giving you in a rate of return for interest to hold on your money. Right. So now this is no BS. This 10 grand right here, this guy, it's the same money, right? If you put 10,000 into a savings account, getting 0.45%, they're going to pay you just under $4 a month for a grand whopping total of $45 a year. Now, this is simple compounding, right? I'm not including the extra $3 every month. Somebody don't go chasing me down because the math isn't right. It's right enough. But check this out. Money market account, right? That short-term saving vehicle that we were talking about, this is where your money should be. If it's just going to sit and hang out, can I put it to work for you? Right? Average right now on a money market account, since they follow the 10-year treasury, right? So it's not fixed, it floats. And so when the rates are up, these are up. When rates are down, these go down, but so do other regular savings accounts, guys. So just think about this. If I could get you over a 10x return on your money that's just sitting by just having it sit in a different place, is that something you'd be open to taking a look at? Especially if the account was free. Guys, who's going to say no to that? Who's going to say no to that? Well, the first question is, well, how hard is it for me to get access to the money? It's not hard at all. Text me. Tell me you need $1,000. You'll have it in about 3 business days or however long it takes the banks to move electrons back and forth, and it pops into your bank account. Oh, by the way, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. There's no sales charge, right? Yes, it is a mutual fund, but it doesn't cost you anything. If you put $100,000 in there, right, 3-4 days from now, when you wake up, there's going to be $100,000 in there. There's 0 sales charge. Guys, I just tell clients like, look, this is just a free service that we provide you as a client. I just want to make sure that you're getting a better rate of return on your savings, right? So that you can actually prepare for those things that you are looking to do down the road. Like, how much faster would we help you hit that savings goal if I was getting you an extra $500 a year versus less than 50? I mean, I'm no math magician like Andy likes to say, but it's about 10 times faster, right? For free. For free. And for you guys as agents, right, this is also where we set up your MAP account. So your money accumulation program, that's the way that we can kind of go in and you can play with it however you want to get paid, right? Off of all of the products, you can decide how much you want Primerica to keep back into your money accumulation program account so that you can have it set aside for taxes, for saving, for whatever, right? Save your money. Save your money. Because if you ever get to go meet Red and Bob Weison and he finds out that you're not saving any money, he'll tell you he's gonna kick your butt. And I believe him, even though he's like 100 years old, he can still kick your butt. So save your money, right? All right, time and consistency. This goes to one of those D's for discipline, right? It pays to start investing early, guys. Look, this is a one-time investment of $1,000 at a 9% rate of return, right? We're going to use 9 because that's average for the S&P over the last 50 years. It's actually 9.48. We're going to use 9. You put that $1,000 in, right? And look at the difference. You put it in when the baby's born. You put it into something tracking the S&P with $1,000. You never put any more money in. But at 67 years later, it turns into over $400,000. That's kind of wild. But if you do it at 16, it's a quarter of the return. And if you wait until 40, it wasn't even worth doing. Right? So that's an illustration of the high cost of waiting, but it's also why it's so powerful to start so young. Guys, did you know? Now, I know most of my people know, but like, did you know that you can open up accounts for your children? Investment accounts, retirement accounts, custodial Roth IRA. Ooh. Shoot dang. Like if you could be putting $25 a month into a Roth IRA for one of your kids that's brand new, right? $25 a month, guys. It's nothing. And that's also the minimum to open an account and to keep it alive with a monthly pack for any client. We can do that for any client. $25 a month. I'll show you a calculator later. Somebody remind me. It's going to blow your mind. From birth to 67, $25 a month at a 9% rate of return, your child will be a millionaire. And they didn't even know it. It's pretty wild. Right? Here's the high cost of waiting. Right? So most people, when you talk to them about their shoebox and what they can afford to do between life insurance and investments, most people on average are telling me, I don't know, $50 a week. I say, great. That's about $200 a month, right? So if we're somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 to cover you, your wife, and kid on your life insurance, and that's going to leave us about another 100 to invest, here's what happens. Cindy, you are correct. The child does have to have earned income. But here's what happens, guys, right? If you 25 to 26, look at the difference. $1,200 capital investment difference turns into almost $50,000 return difference. But look at 25 versus 40. Over $400,000. That's insane. But that's the high cost of waiting. And most 25-year-olds that you know right now that work and have a job, they probably blow an extra $100 a month between Starbucks, Dunkin', insert other restaurant, and or any other thing. Because they don't have the discipline and they don't have the guidance, and somebody never sat them down and showed them this. That's the problem. Video games, absolutely, right? But guys, everybody can figure out $100 a month if they're willing to make some changes. Now, if someone's not willing to make changes or willing to prioritize, they won't change. But everybody can. But they need help, right? Everybody should have seen this already. If you have not seen this, do me a favor, raise your hand really fast and raise your little Zoom hand. Miss Kimberly. Okay. That's a lot of people. Okay. Put your hands down. Kimberly, I'm going to talk to you really quick. We're going to unmute you real fast. Okay. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Kimberly.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever seen this before? The rule.
Once I looked up and seen it said rule of 72, I have it printed out.
Okay. So you know what it is. Yeah.
I've just glanced at it.
Okay. Well, this is an important thing to understand. So this is just math, right? This doesn't represent any investment. This doesn't represent any mutual fund, any index, nothing. This is just math, but it's an illustration of compounding and compound interest, right? Because most people will look at this chart and say, well, 3% versus 12%, that's just 4 times better. Who cares if, 48 years from now, if I just got a 4x return? Well, if you look down 48 years from now at 3%, 10 grand turns into 40,000 because it only doubled one time in between. Because 72 divided by 3 is 24. And so on average at 3%, your money takes 24 years to double. But if you double the rate of return, right, and you go to 6%, now you're not just doubling the end state return, you're doubling how fast it doubles, right? So now at 6%, instead of 40,000 48 years later, you have 160,000. So we doubled the rate of return, we 4x'd the actual return. But 12% is where it gets fun. Because at 12%, guys, we're not even talking about, 4 or 8xing the return. Now we're talking about, instead of 40 grand, you got 2.6 million, roughly. Most people don't care how you go from 0 to 2.6 million. They just want the 2.6 million. You would agree. But again, it goes back to, they don't need a product. They need a strategy. A strategy. And guys, for most people, that strategy is a very simple mutual fund strategy that's diversified based on their risk and their time horizon and how much money they have. Right? But if they don't have any money, they probably just need to make some changes. The money's there. We just need a new priority. Right? And so, guys, that's the rule of 72. If you don't understand that, or that didn't make sense, we'll go back over it. But I kind of want to keep going. We got some more things to get to. All right, so what do we do with clients, guys? We buy term, right, and invest the difference. That's the main thing that we do. But we also teach people how to debt stack. And this is how we get people out of debt faster. It went too far. Hold on, slow down. There we go. So back to that whole like revolving debt versus fixed debt, right? Revolving debt is like your credit card, right? That interest compounds and compounds and compounds, right? Your fixed debt is sort of like a car note or a mortgage. That's the simplest way to think about it. Now, in both situations, you can pay them off early. Most of it's simple interest. Pay it off. It doesn't matter. There's no prepayment penalties, nothing like that. But with revolving debt, most people are getting that bank statement and they see, well, I owe 4,000, but my minimum payment is $35 or whatever it is. What do most people pay when they look at their bill and they see a minimum payment due? They're paying the minimum, right? But what happens when you pay the minimum is you, in general, pay 2, 3, 4, 8 times what you actually should have paid for the thing that you bought, right? So what are some of the biggest traps that most people get sucked into? Payday loans, right? Buying things from like a rent-a-center. Don't even get me started, right? Vehicles that they can't afford. The rent-a-center and the payday loan things are like, I mean, they should literally be illegal. I don't understand how they're legal, but they are, right? Because if someone's taking a payday loan, when they come back to pay it off, they generally need another one because they just paid back everything that they took out. It's almost an impossible scenario to get out of. And in most of those situations, you get into paying 6, 7, 8 times what you took out in the loan. It should literally be illegal, guys, but it's not. But people need your help to figure this stuff out, right? This is debt stacking. If you have followed any of Dave Ramsey's stuff, he just calls it a debt snowball, right? There's literally no difference. This is, a fictitious client. This is their current situation. We'll call that their target card. They got a credit card, a loan, something else, and a mortgage, right? Debt stacking is very simple. We're just going to pay the minimum on everything but this first card so that we're staying current on all of our bills and we're not adding on fees and that sort of thing, right? And then we're going to kill this retail card. And then when that first retail card is done, we roll that extra 220 on top of what we were paying here. Keep paying the minimums here, stay current. And then when this is gone, you just keep going. And then you keep going, right? You're just rolling that extra payment forward. This requires discipline Because what happens when most people pay off a card or something? Well, I should say, what happens when most people free up this extra 200 bucks? What do they do with it? What's the first thing they're going to go do? They run it back up, right? Heck, man, that's a brand new pair of Air Force Ones, or that's a brand new insert, whatever. They need you and they need your discipline to help them remain accountable to then go do this. And guys, I just tell clients, like, look, I can give you the best plan in the world, but if you're unwilling to follow it, is it going to work? No. Because just like in the business, I can't make anybody do anything. I can't make a client stick to this plan. I can just help them with it, right? But I just say, look, I understand life is going to happen. You're going to pay off that retail card, and Murphy's going to show up. You're going to hit a pothole. You're going to blow a tire. You're going to need that 200 bucks to put a new tire on your car. I get it. That's okay. That's just going to push us another month to the right in terms of staying on this plan. We'll update it. It's dynamic. It's a living document. It's okay. Because conversely, you come into a big windfall of money, we're going to pay some of that stuff off and accelerate this even faster, right? Guys, the very first FNA, like full FNA that I ever did for a client, I literally almost fell out of my chair. She was making about 120 grand a year. She's a travel nurse, had a ton of debt, right? On her current plan, she would have been out of debt at 148 years old. Was she going to make it? No. She was going to die in debt. It's tragic. With the plan that we built, she makes decent money. You would agree. She's making a six-figure income. There's no reason she should be in that debt. She has no discipline, right? So we made her a plan. Guys, she's going to be out of debt in 5.5 years. 5.5 years. I saved over 95 years off of her life when it comes to debt. How, like, when I tell you that what we do for people is life-changing, I'm not exaggerating. But if you're not doing that piece, just selling someone a life policy is probably not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everyone needs life insurance. But that's not enough, because we don't just buy term. We buy term and invest the difference, right? There's more to the story. So let's keep this rolling. So here's the results from that client, right? They get out of debt 14 years faster. They save 130 grand in interest. Most of that comes from their mortgage. Yes, I know, right? But who cares? You still saved them $130,000 and got them out of debt 14 years faster. Because, and now think about this. Let's go back a slide, right? Now they've got an extra $2,700 a month liquid. What are they going to do with it? They're going to come to you as a securities licensed registered representative and figure out how to put it to work, which means you're getting paid forever, right? So never forget that, guys. Whether I'm sitting down with a client that has no clue about investing, has no clue what we're doing, and we're going to start with $25 and $25 a month, it's still going to take me roughly 40 to 45 minutes because I'm going to teach them things along the way. If I'm sitting down with a client and we're rolling over $250,000, it's probably still going to take me about 45 minutes or an hour. So if you're coming to the table with $25 or $250,000, you're still getting about an hour of my time. Would you agree that that $25 an hour, like that $25 client, is not worth my time monetarily, right? Because I'm going to make like 14 cents opening that account. Not really worth my time, but you know what's going to happen? That $25 a month client is going to turn into eventually a fully funded Roth. And when he has someone in his family that needs help, they're going to come to us. When his parents or grandparents die and he inherits some money, he's going to come to me, because guess what? When he had $25 and nobody else would talk to him, and you are the only person that ever gave him the time of day in terms of teaching them about money, you have a client for life, right? So treat everyone like they're a six-figure client, and eventually they will be. Taxes, again, full disclaimer, I am not an accountant, right? We're going to do some basic tax stuff really quick, right? So traditional IRA, just like your 401k or any of your employment plans. This is pre-tax money. That money gets invested before you ever get paid your check. So it lowers your adjustable gross income, or it lowers your gross income, right? It becomes your adjustable gross income. Right now, you can do 7,000 a year into a traditional IRA, 7,000 a year into a Roth as well, right? Your 401ks and things like that have different limits. We're not going to go into that. Just know that your traditional IRA is tax deductible off of your taxable income, and your taxes are tax deferred, meaning when you pay yourself down the road with that money, you have to pay Uncle Sam. Roth IRA, right? Your contributions are not tax deductible. So you cash your paycheck or you get your paycheck, right? All of your taxes have already been taken out. Now you put your money in your Roth. That money has already paid taxes. It goes into your Roth. It will remain tax-free forever, right? So your initial contribution, your principal, plus whatever it grows and becomes, tax-free forever, right? So if you think about your actual earnings and your income as your biggest wealth building tool, I would argue that your Roth IRA is your second biggest, because it's the only thing that's going to guarantee that tax-free forever return, because that's what it's designed for, right? But that's why there's also limits. You can only put in 7,000 a year. Unless you're over 50, then you can put in 8. I'll put it all on another little chart here in a second, right? Because you got to have a Roth, right? Everyone needs that savings account for their emergency fund. Everyone needs the money market for their actual like short-term savings to build like extra cash faster. Then everyone needs their Roth, right? A lot of clients are wanting to like way over contribute into a 401k, but they don't have anything in their Roth. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? We need to back up a bit. Let's max out your Roth, and then if you still want to put something in, we can talk about putting it in your 401k, right? But let's max out that Roth first. So here's the different tax treatments. Here's the limits for 2024, right? 7,000 a year, which is 583 a month. If you're over 50, 8,000 a year, 660, we'll call it 5, right? It's not, but I don't like the number. So we'll catch them up at the, in December with the extra few bucks that it needs to be to get to 8,000. We already went over this in terms of like tax differential, tax treatments. Just know, oh, this didn't get updated. Required minimum distribution on a traditional or a 401k or anything like that is 73 now. Meaning, let's say you haven't taken any of your money by 73. When you get there, you have to start paying yourself the minimum of what you should, or the IRS is going to penalize you 50% of what you should have taken, right? Uncle Sam's going to figure out a way to get his money. And that's why I tell clients all the time, look, it's great if you get to retirement age and you've got $1 million or $2 million in your 401k, but you and Uncle Sam have $1 million or $2 million in your 401k. If you had $1 million in your Roth and you're over 59 and a half and you liquidate the entire thing, you just get a check for all the money, right? That's the difference. Time value money, we kind of went over this already in terms of like the high cost of waiting, but this is kind of a cool chart, right? And if you're on a phone, it's going to be hard to see, but this is pretty cool. Look, somebody's 22, they max it out. Again, this is old, right? So it's from a couple of years ago when it was 6,000 a year, but they were maxing out their Roth with 6,000 a year, and they stopped at age 29. Never put in another dollar, right? And investor B over here didn't start until he was 30, but he never stopped. But if you look down here, who has more money? 2.2 million versus 2 million. Old boy only put in 48 grand over here. This guy almost put in $250,000 and he's still behind. Because this one's been compounding longer. You have to start young, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the power of compounding and that extra doubling period that he kind of snuck in there because he started so much sooner, right? Become an owner, not a loaner, bypassing the middleman. I love using this one when it comes to somebody that has whole life. We can kind of skip this, but really what this is getting down to is you got to get your money in the market, not sitting in a bank. Getting your money in the market via a mutual fund that's diversified is really the best place that you can get the returns that you're looking for to get you close to that 9 or 12% return, right? Not just saving, investing. Look at the difference, guys. $10,000, if you had put it in 91, 30 years later, if it had just been tracking the S&P, never added any other money, it turned into over 200 grand. Right? Sitting it in a bond, sitting it in the treasury bill. Look at just what inflation did. Right? If you had just said, I need to put this money into a treasury bill because I might need it and I'm afraid of loss, you wouldn't have even paced inflation. Your money essentially didn't grow if it was just sitting in a treasury bill. That's crazy. But this is the kind of stuff you got to understand. Yeah, Freddie, you're right. And that's the financial crisis included, right? That's the dot-com bubble. That's the housing market in 08. Like there's a lot going on there. 9/11, all sorts of stuff. Look, what's a mutual fund, right? The easiest way to think about this is a bunch of individual investors putting money into one place and it's going in the global economy, right? The easier way to think about it is there's a fund manager, right? We'll say me. We're going to say like Noah's large cap growth fund. So I'm investing in only large cap companies, the growth, with growth as the target. So we're essentially tracking the S&P 500 and you're going to put in $100. Well, you're buying $100 worth of that mutual fund, meaning you're getting probably, percentage slices of anywhere from 30 to 100 different companies. One mutual fund, guys, it's automatic diversification. Not just saying just invest in one mutual fund, but my point is you're not just picking one company and hoping it works. That's a bet, right? Putting money in a mutual fund and having it invested for long term is an investment. That's just another way to think about it. So professional management, right? So, and here's where we can kind of start actually like putting the math behind dollar cost averaging and people only putting money in when the market's going up. Because when you think about it, what do most people do? Like if they wake up and they turn on the news and they see the ticker going across and the market's down, what do? Most people, do they like run to go buy more stock? Or are they freaking out and they're like, oh God, let's sell it? They freak out and sell it. It's the exact opposite of what you should be doing, right? Most people only put money in the market when it's going up because they get that fear of missing out. They're like, oh God, if I don't get in now, I'm going to miss it. So they're buying on the way up. So they bought high. And then 3 or 4 days later, the market turns red, which the market does. And they freak out and they sell it. So wait, they bought high and sold low. Is that how you make any money? No, you should be doing the exact opposite. Guys, think about this. If you look at Apple right now, or pick your favorite company, I don't care, right? And you wake up tomorrow and without any major thing changing in the company's down 35%. If it's your favorite company, buy the thing, right? The example I use with clients on this is like, look, is there something in your house that you don't compromise on? Right? For my wife, it's Jif peanut butter. No other peanut butter is coming into this house. We will have 0 peanut butter before there's something in here besides Jif, right? So if she goes to the store and Jif peanut butter is on sale and it's 85% off, but it's the same peanut butter, maybe they got too much. I don't know, right? Do you think she's just buying one? No, she's probably buying like 9 because it was the same money and it's the same peanut butter, right? Guys, that was the stock market when COVID happened. Everybody woke up one day and all of a sudden the market's down 20, 25, 35%. I said, sweet. I'm buying all of it because it was down and there was nothing wrong, right? We just said you can't go to work, but there was nothing wrong with the company, right? So fundamentally, the company's fine. But most people are like, oh God, I gotta sell, I gotta get out. No way, man. You gotta get in. But that's the market, right? So when we start looking at dollar cost averaging, you're investing in a fluctuating market. Like Basically, what this means is you don't care what the market's doing. You're putting in your 583 every month if you're going to get to 7,000 for the year. I don't care if you do it every week, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But you're putting it in regardless. It's discipline. You're not just going to sit and hold your money and go, well, I'll put it in when I feel like it. You know how many clients tell me, I'll call you when I'm ready to put some more in? A lot. Do you think they ever call me? No, they don't. Because they don't have the discipline, because they didn't figure out that they got to send themselves the bill. Am I talking to somebody right now? Is this striking a chord? Because it should be, right? For most of us. So look, had the client just been putting in the money when the market was going up, look at how many shares they get at the end, right? 6 months later, they only got like 40 shares. But if they had just been disciplined and put it in and they were riding the market as it was going up and down. Now I know this is kind of extreme. That's saying that the share price lost almost 80% in a 4-month span and came right back up. COVID, it's not unprecedented, right? Look at that, 126 shares at the end, guys. And then look at the average cost per share. That's dollar cost averaging. So you end up getting more when you just stay disciplined. Because if you look at the long term, right? If you look at like a 30-year span, the market's up. But if you shorten that time horizon, the market did a whole bunch of this in between, right? And so if you were putting money in religiously for what makes sense for you, you're going to end up with more shares. That's why dollar cost average, you cannot beat that. You literally can't beat it. So you have to, right? So let's talk about securities licensing. How do you become the person that is there helping people? Well, once you get your life license, there's a whole series of steps that you got to go through, right? Your SIE is your first one. It's not actually even a license, sort of like your gateway. Your Series 6 is your top-off exam. Your 63 is what will then make you a fully licensed rep for mutual funds and variable products, right? 26 makes you a principal. 65 lets you do managed accounts, makes you an investment advisor representative. Guys, you can do all of those. And Primerica gives you the curriculum for free, provides monthly classes that you can sit in on seminars for free. It's unprecedented, right? It's insane. And you don't pay for any of these. You pay for the exam, and then when you pass, you get reimbursed. Free, right? And I wrote this last piece on here because sitting in a builder school, my very first one, this was January. I had been in the business, I think at this point, just over 4 months, was not licensed yet for securities. I was getting around to it, right? But I sat there and one of the wholesalers or somebody, I don't remember who it was, it doesn't matter. They said, guys, if you don't have a securities license and you're not able to buy term and invest for the client, you're worse than the whole life guy. I was like morally offended. And I literally, and like in that moment said, I'm scheduling it and I'm just getting it done. If you don't have a securities license, you're worse than the whole life guy. Hey, listen, at least if the whole life person got to 75 and still had life insurance and still had some cash, they've got something. But if you just sold them a 35-year term at 40 and they get to 75 and the term's up and they got no money of any kind, you did them a massive disservice. Massive. So even if you don't have a securities license, yeah, I don't care. Take care of their life product and connect them to one of the fully licensed reps that we have right now. There's a whole slew of them out there. Me, Cindy Wall, Jessica Powers. Brittany's kind of busy. I probably wouldn't go to Brittany first, but she's still an option, right? Angela Jennings, Jennifer Wilson. Like the list is becoming very long, right? Angela Meisner's out there. There's a lot of us. Now, availability, whatever, but they're out there, okay? We also all have calendars. Put them on a calendar. It doesn't have to be like right now. Great if it is. but get them on a calendar and then come to the appointment so that you can learn. Please, please, right? But here's the last thing I'll leave you with, right? Because that's what we do for clients. But check this out, guys. Do you realize? And I tried to find the number. I couldn't find it. If one of the other VPs that's been around for a minute, maybe Jessica and Nicole, one of you guys, if you know the exact number, I can't remember. What did Primerica pay in comp last year to the field? $1 billion, $2 billion? I can't. Let's just we'll put a disclaimer on it. Let's just say Primerica paid to the field last year $2 billion in comp. 50% of that was in insurance and client solution type products. The other 50% of that was securities. And the other 50% of that income went to 20% of the agents. So if you're not fully licensed, not only are you not doing the job for the client, you're leaving half the income on the table that each client provides you as an opportunity. So if that don't sting, whew, I don't know. Some of y'all need to go schedule a test, because I can tell you right now, just meaning to get around to it is not the same as scheduling the dang thing, right? I'd have never taken my 26 on Friday had I not just got out of my own way and said, schedule. Because guess what? Now I got a deadline. And I don't know about you guys, I don't miss deadlines. And I deliver. So once it was on the calendar, it was going down. And I was literally moving everything out of the way to make it happen. I went back to the old school, right? Back to when I started, going to work in the morning, coming home, clients in the evening, put everybody to bed, study till midnight. I don't care. Figure it out. You don't have a time problem. You have a priority problem, just like your clients have a priority problem with their money. 168 hours in a week, y'all. Everybody's got the same. What are you doing with them is the real question. You're telling me you can't find an extra hour every day to study? Priority problem. Not a time problem. You'll be all right with an extra hour of sleep less. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. I promise you'll live, right? You'll live. I promise. You'll be just fine. Go pull up your like Netflix time log. I wish they had one. Let's like put some accountability on yourself, and then it's a whole lot easier to help a client on the accountability side. I'm telling you guys, like, it will change your life, because now you can sit in front of a client and say, look, this is how I can help you. Are you open to help? Right? Are you open to me helping you retire wealthy? How much money do you want to have when you retire? Right? Because if you're asking a client, like, hey, when I ask you what retirement means, like if I say, hey, when are you going to retire? What does that mean to you? If you were going to answer that question, right? Anybody, if I like right now, put it in the Zoom chat. When are you going to retire? Put it in the Zoom chat. Like honest answer, like pop off answer, just like, when are you going to retire? I'm seeing a whole lot of ages run across the Zoom chat right now, right? Jamie Buchanan, I like it, girl. You said when I can afford it. Here's when I'm going to retire, right? Stop typing in the Zoom chat. Here's when I'm going to retire. 6.4 million. Y'all putting ages in there means you haven't even done your own F&A. You don't know your financial independence number. That's a problem. If I handed you $6 million right now and showed you how to live off of the interest, would you go to work tomorrow? I ain't. So quit thinking in age, right? We call financial independence number, guys. It ain't an age. It's a number. And if you don't know yours, that's a problem. Because if you don't know yours, you ain't helping a client find theirs. Come on, like guys, you don't have to be securities licensed to do a mobile F&A for somebody, right? Man, I hope I spoke to someone tonight, because this is what we do, right? You are here to educate clients and help them become financially independent. You need to protect them now when they have liabilities that outweigh their assets. 30, 40 years from now, that model is going to flip and their assets need to far outweigh their liabilities, or you did not help them do their job, or they're just hard-headed and didn't listen. Maybe both. Hopefully not. Right? If you guys can get somebody on a monthly cycle to just start putting money away and then help them increase that over time, they're going to be just even I even got the baby on board right now, talking to everybody, right? So guys, we got 5 minutes ish left. If you got questions, I'm here. Try to keep it like for the group. Like I don't really, probably can't help with your cat's herpes, right? Like try to keep it something. Toby, what you got, girl?
Okay, so I'm a little confused. I get the whole concept of the debt stacking, but that first bill that we have them work on getting rid of so that they can add it to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. How do they go about getting rid of that first one? Do we just have them make extra on their payment, or
I'm with you, right? So that's why you got to do that full F&A in order to get that plan. You have to go through their full like money in, money out in terms of where that's at in the F&A. You got to help them find the money. Because when you go through that full plan, in every time I've done a full F&A for a client, we get to the bottom and like the system shows in green that they've got like an extra $500 to $800 that they're not accounting for. And I said, okay, well, like, hey, listen, this is your data. Where's that money? And they're like, I don't know. I said,
Starbucks?
do me a favor. Just humor me. And I did this to my last client. Do me a favor, pull up your last debit card statement. And I want you to go through and highlight everything in there that was fast food, Starbucks, whatever, right? Something that wasn't groceries. Because my client had told me, I got about $200. I can do maybe 100 on my life, and we can do maybe 100 on my investment. I want to put money in my money market. So he was going 50 to the money market, 50 to the Roth, right? He went through and highlighted that and texted me 20 minutes after we got off the call and said, bro, I'm spending over $300 just this last month between Hardee's and something else. And I said, cool. You can keep paying Hardee's $300 a month, or you can pay yourself. Which one do you want to do? I'll wait. It's not my money, but I'm here to help you make more of it and keep more of it. So what do you want to do? I said, look, I also don't expect you. It's absolutely unrealistic to expect someone to change immediately on a habit that they've been doing forever. I said, bro, just try to do this. We're going to leave your investments and everything, your plan, the exact same way it is right now. But this month, I want you to mentally plan to take your lunch twice as many times as you took it this past month. Pick a schedule. I don't care. Call it Monday, Tuesday, because you're coming off of the weekend for Sunday. You can meal prep for at least 2 days. Am I right? Come on. You can make some extra sandwiches on Sunday night. He's like, bro, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I say, cool. And so at the end of this month, when you have that extra $150-ish, we'll look at putting it across your two accounts. And then for the following month, you're going to stick to it. And we're going to automatically increase that next month. Fair? Yeah, dude, I can do that. And I say, cool. And then we'll see how that month goes. And then we'll go from there. Right? The other thing, and thanks, Wayne, right? Guys, save them some money on their home and auto. Listen, like if I could, in one phone call, potentially save you anywhere from 600 to, well, I had one client save 2,800 a year on just her car insurance. If I could help you do that, we could probably get out of this hole a little faster. Am I right? Perfect. When was the last time you quoted out your home and auto insurance? Most people say right after never, because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with calling 18 people and then having all of them call back. I say, great, don't do it. Call one guy, right? Within 20, 30 minutes, they're going to shop it out to 30 different A-rated carriers for you. And if you like what he says, take it. And if you don't, great. What you have right now is okay. Call them back in 6 months. Why do you think they give you that card in a 6-month window? Because the dang rates are going to change. Call the dude back every 90 days. Right? So those are some basic steps, plus every other bill that's underneath that top one, Toby. We're just paying the minimum. Most people take the minimum and add like 15, 20 bucks. They make themselves feel good. They take it to a round number. Right? That's why they're sort of like duck hunt with a debt shotgun, right? The money shotgun is like spraying on these little pieces on a bunch of little debts. You need to have them use that like debt sniper rifle. Kill one, it's dead, move on to the next one. That's the difference, right? That's what debt stacking is truly doing. We save $3,600 a year. Hot diggity. That's $300 a month on friggin' insurance. How much faster do you think we can either get someone out of debt, pay for that life insurance, start an investment? Guys, like you have to call home and auto. If you haven't even called yourself, like what are we waiting on? Right? It's officially 10 o'clock. I know we're over on time. If you gotta go, you gotta go. I'll take 2 more questions. Toby, you can't ask another one. You already have one. If anybody else has a question, go for it. What do you got? Nobody? Nobody wants to keep everybody longer? That's okay. They don't have to stay. But if nobody has a question, guys, I'm going to end the recording. We'll get this out. I'll get the link over to Andy once everything finishes up, and we'll go from there. Hopefully this was good for you guys.